Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Heart of Innovation, our Save My Piggies episode. We have a special guest. We have Patrick, who is here joining us from Arizona. But what's great about his story is that his doctor is our very own Dr. John Phillips, and we are going to talk about Patrick's journey to find Dr. Phillips because he was in Florida and traveled all the way to Ohio just to see Dr. Phillips, the famous Dr. Phillips. Do you feel like a celebrity, Dr. John?
Absolutely not. In fact, I'll share the story once Patrick is able to speak. So yes,
I love it. I want to get right in it. So let's just kick off this episode with a moment of inspiration so we can get started with this story.
Okay, yes. So trying to I love these shows because number one, they're just off the cuff, and I think a lot of them are pretty heartfelt, and we just really enjoy hearing the patient's journey and how they navigate the healthcare system and hopefully are treated appropriately and get the results that help them. Because we know the Save My Piggies is all about patient advocacy and allows the patient to tell their story. And so it's about choices too. And clearly Patrick made a choice to come see me, and hopefully it was the right choice. But so I was trying to find a choice about or a quote from about making good choices. And I found this one from Abraham Lincoln. And so he said, "I am not bound to win, but I am bound to be true. I am not bound to succeed, but I am bound to live up to what light I have." And I think it kind of emphasizes making choices based on, integrity and kind of being authentic and just doing the right thing. Because I will share that there's a choice that I had to make during this journey that I share with Patrick that I struggled with a little bit. So there's what do you call that? A teaser? That's a pretty good teaser, actually.
That is a pretty
So,
good teaser.
but make sure you ask me so I remember what it was that I was choosing between, please.
It was during his care, right? But
It was during his care. Yeah, it was during the case, actually. So, yeah, good teaser on
it's
my
been
end.
all about it's been all about choices because Patrick, welcome. We really appreciate you being
Hi.
here. You actually, the whole journey started, you were driving to Florida and you ended up calling our Leg Saver hotline through the Global PAD Association.
Right, I was actually in Ohio, and I was
Oh,
driving to
you were
Florida.
in Ohio at the time and you were driving to Florida.
Yes, yeah, I was up in Chicago for a couple of months. Yeah, so yeah, I was there, and I was experiencing leg pain, and so I knew I had to get back to Florida to see my surgeon there. And so yeah, I called your hotline number, and then you connected me with the one of the people in Texas. I talked to him for about a half hour on the way back to Florida.
Yeah, that
Yeah, that
was
was very
our
helpful.
Pad Warrior Task Force Chairman Douglas, and because we were talking about walking as medicine. So for peripheral artery disease, for those who are not familiar, it's poor circulation and mainly the legs, and the best medicine is walking because you can actually grow natural bypasses. You have this collateral network of vessels in your legs, actually throughout your body, that when you have blockages in your main arteries, they can actually dilate and they can grow. I use the term grow loosely, but they can grow like tree roots and reroute blood flow around those blockages. And the best way to do that is to put that pressure on and walk through that pain. And Douglas is a pro at it. So I put the two of you in touch, right?
Right. Yeah, we were talking for a while. Yes.
For a
Um,
long time. He kept you
yeah.
company on the
So,
drive.
yeah. So then, like 6 weeks later, then I had the one bypass on the right leg, uh, but then a couple of months later, the original bypass that was done 5 years ago, that one needed to be unblocked, and the surgeons down in Florida, no one was willing to or knew how to go through the foot. They didn't have the tools that Dr. Phillips had. The one surgeon that I had, I picked him because he knew how to use like a Diamondback 360, I think it was, but he didn't even have it in the operating room. So I guess I was kind of disappointed in him, and then you had the other a surgeon in Florida.
Yeah, and he didn't have much time.
So
He
it
was
didn't
pretty
work out.
busy.
Yeah. So then I was reaching out to surgeons in Florida, different places. One of your guys in Texas, but the doctor in Texas, but he didn't. I called him twice, but he didn't respond. But the doctor in Texas supposedly was teaching other surgeons how to unblock the arteries.
And so I'm
So he didn't.
curious, you seem to be pretty aware of all the different devices and things like that, you even talked about going through the foot. And so for people who aren't aware, right, Dr. Phillips, I mean, there are a couple of different ways. If a doctor is going in to unblock the arteries manually, they can go through the groin, a pinhole, right, in the groin area and go down the arteries, or they can end up in a more advanced approach. They can poke into an artery in the foot or in the calf or in the knee and come up from below.
Correct. Yeah,
Right.
there's alternative access sites, as we call it.
My surgeon down in Naples, Florida, he wanted to be in and out in less than a half hour. So he couldn't get in and out. So it's like go on to the next client. But I knew through your show that like Dr. Phillips said, that he won't give up, but he has the tools. So Dr. Phillips has the tools, he can solve the problem. So it was, it took me a while to get to him, but I should have just, went to him first through watching you, but yeah, I was, depressed and sad about this. I can't find the right surgeon. They don't want to use the tools. They don't want to do major bypass. And the major bypass scared me because of if the artery is already clogged, and then they want to do the other bypass. If the bypass gets clogged, well, then what's the third choice after that? They want to cut your leg off. Well, but you and Dr. Phillips taught me that that there are options for us if we find the right surgeons like Dr. Phillips that can unblock an artery, and it'll take the time. We have options. So I was, thank God I found your show and I found the two of you.
Yeah, well, coming up next, right here on the Heart of Innovation, we're going to have more of Pat's stories, and we're going to actually hear the big choices that Dr. Phillips had to make in caring for Patrick, coming up from Florida, all the way from Florida to get his care from a celebrity from the Heart of Innovation and the Save My Piggies episodes. More on his story coming up next, right here on KDOW. Don't go away.
This is great because I'm the guest, Kim. You're the host, and I'm the guest, and I like just listening. So
I wasn't
yeah,
sure what was going on. I was like, do I keep talking?
you keep going. You take us back, and this is Patrick's show. I'm just here to add some color here and there.
Patrick, it'd be interesting because I mean, it was funny because you had the direct contact to us. Why you didn't? I have a hair on my face that is, I can't see it, but I can see it, feel it.
Oh yeah, that's weird.
Guys don't have to worry about that. But okay, so I'll just take us back and see where it goes.
This is you. Yeah, see where it goes. I'm having a blast, by the way.
Okay, in 3, 2. Welcome back to the show. I am actually hosting this show because we have Dr. Phillips, my typical co-host, who is one of my guests because he is the one who treated our very special guest, Patrick, who's here with us, who found Dr. Phillips through the Global PAD Association and through all of our broadcasts that we have on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the way to my heart. And he learned so much through watching all of these different episodes that we had talking about all different types of treatments for peripheral artery disease. Right, Patrick?
Oh, yes. Yes.
And I'm just curious, out of all the different episodes and things that you watched, was there anything that really stood out? I hear that you were mentioning it's one of the pet peeves, I think, of all doctors is they don't like when a patient comes in and says, well, I saw this video about this device. Can you use that device on me? But that device, maybe you said that you saw the Diamondback 360, which was a device that's like an electric sander that rotates. And it
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
owned by CSI, and then it was bought up by Abbott, a very, very large company. But it's not right for everybody. It's right for rock hard calcium, typically in the upper thigh, right, Dr. Phillips? Not necessarily. You don't want to use it down into the smaller vessels below the knee.
Yeah, there's multiple sizes, and in fact, I use the majority of it in the tibial vessels, so the smaller vessels,
Do
because
you?
it does a nice job of, yeah. It's again, to go back to your initial kind of statement about doctors, we don't really like it when patients come asking for particular devices. I mean, for me, I used to get annoyed by it, to be honest with you, but after a while, I've kind of realized, like, you know what, that person, I think, is trying to gain insight into their disease
Yeah.
process, and they just want the best care, and that's why we do Save My Piggies, and that's why you do what you do. And it also just, the fact that Patrick and I connected speaks to the reach that the show has and the group has to help people. And I think that's really cool, honestly.
So
It's rewarding too.
can you guys bring me back? How did you guys actually connect? Patrick, did you have to go to through the front office, or did you somehow end up connecting with Dr. John via social media? What was the connection that you made?
Oh, my the surgeon that I didn't like down in Naples, Florida, he was able to give me the referral, and then I was able to send it down to Columbus, Ohio. But he was very busy, so he wasn't able to see me in March, but he was able to see me the beginning of April. And so that's how we got it started. And then he had me do a test, and then after he got the results from the test, then he was able to schedule me. But the nicest thing that anybody ever said to me was that when I left the office, he said he wants to help me. I have a big problem here, and he said he wants to help me. So the best of the best wants to help me.
I love that. The best
Awesome.
of the best.
Well, no, I mean,
Yeah.
so I'll share my experience, because
But
you get a
before you do, I don't under so was the first time you guys met in the consult, or
Mhm.
were you on
Yeah,
doing a phone call
No, in
beforehand?
April.
it was
You
an
did a phone
in-person.
call.
Yeah, no, it was an in-person visit.
So you
Yeah, I
had
Um,
flew
no
down
idea,
24
Dr.
hours.
Phillips. He just shows up in your office, you think this is another patient, and suddenly you find out that he sought you out big
well,
time.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, it's not uncommon for us to see folks that are the snowbirds. So, I saw that he was from Florida, but I just assumed that, he lived in Columbus and, stayed a few months in Florida during the winter months. And then when we actually had a conversation, actually, no, when I looked at the referral, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. There's a lot of information coming from Naples, which I guess isn't super uncommon. But then when Patrick and I had a conversation, I was like, no, he lives in Florida. And I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, but it got me thinking, like, wow, there's more of a reach and an impact that this show has than I anticipated. But it also made me, and we can get to it in the next segment, but it also got me kind of thinking, like, man, this gentleman took time out of his life to come see us, and I feel like there's a fiduciary responsibility, not more so than others, but I mean, it's a little bit like, man, I really need to figure out a way to help this guy. So that's how we got the ball rolling.
I love that. And what was that conversation where he said, Patrick, you actually said to him, "Oh, I found you," because I'm sure Dr. Phillips is like, "Well, you're coming here from Naples. How in the world did you find me?"
Yes, through Kim. Yes.
Well, as soon as I, didn't, we weren't splitting the atom here,
Him.
so I figured that it was through
I'm your biggest
this.
fan.
Yeah, exactly, like The Incredibles.
Well,
So, but again, it was, but then some of and we can get to the next segment, but then some of the logistical issues popped up, right? And I can share with you how we navigated those, because it worked out well, honestly.
And coming up right here on the Heart of Innovation, we're going to hear about the care that Patrick received from Dr. Phillips and more of what you can learn from his journey. That's next, right here on the Heart of Innovation on KDOW. Don't go away. Isn't this fun, Patrick?
Oh yeah, I like it.
I want to hear more of these
Me too.
conversations because Patrick, you're hilarious. So I want to hear
Okay.
more. I like the way you think. And
Mm-hmm.
so it'd be fun for you to share. You have so much to teach people from all the things. I just can't believe how many videos and such that you watched. And I mean,
Oh yes, hours
you
and
were,
hours of videos.
I mean, that's just, can you take us through before we go into those procedures, like all the stuff that you watched and the things that you learned? Because I'm curious then how you applied that to the conversation, with Dr. Phillips, because I imagine Dr. Phillips, that conversation was not your typical conversation with a patient because he was probably so well informed and probably throwing some of your words right at you. How does it feel to hear your words tossed right back at you?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like my children when they try to debate me about things.
Right.
You have to
Okay,
be
here we
careful.
go.
No, but Patrick was, yeah, go ahead.
Hold on one sec. So we're doing, this is segment 3. Okay.
Yes, 8 minutes.
In 3, 2. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our special Save My Piggies episode of The Heart of Innovation. We have a very special patient. We have Patrick, who it's so incredible to have a shared friend with Dr. Phillips. Patrick came to the Global PAD Association through our Leg Saver hotline, 1-833-PAD-LEGS. And he has spent a lot of time, right, Patrick, on our YouTube channel, watching videos after videos after videos, trying to learn everything you could. Can you walk us through, because I think there's so much that patients can learn from the way in which you went about finding, a doctor and learning what you needed to learn, because there is so much. I think we have 1,000 videos on our YouTube channel. And I'm wondering how you went about finding the right ones for you to learn what you needed to know.
Well, mostly the videos that Dr. Phillips did, but some of the videos you did with some of the other surgeons. The one down in Texas, you did an interview with the surgeon in Oak Lawn, Illinois. He had apparatus too, I believe.
Yeah, that was doctors. We had Dr. Lake Raja. So we saw the one with the limb salvage program over in Texas. And then Dr. Jaffer Golzar, who had the PTAB, the detour system, I think, over in the limb salvage program over in Oak Lawn.
Yeah, actually, I used to go to the coffee shop right next door where I would research. It was literally a block away. But after I got down to Florida, I would go to coffee shop every day, and I'd watch your videos. I watch them at home, and how am I going to solve this problem? So yeah, I guess the aha moment would have been in the end of February. I just realized that I just have to go to Dr. Phillips, because I had maybe like a 35-day break between the other surgeon that wasn't able to help me in Florida, where I was trying to find these surgeons that has the tools that can solve this problem. They don't want to go through the foot, they only one way or the highway. It's like, well, but that's not true, because I watched your show. At that point, I'd watched your show and Dr. Phillips for maybe 3.5 months, and so they were very like, there's only one way we can go through the groin. If it don't work out, too bad, so then I realized at the end of February that, I had a surgeon, get me the referral and get it over to Dr. Phillips right away. Yeah, and then it was just a 30-day wait till I could see him, and I just flew down for 24 hours.
What's interesting is that in the last segment you had mentioned that the doctor only spent 30 minutes. Most patients would not know that there was some, that there are certain doctors that have time limits, and they have these time limits and say, if you can't get through, or I can't get through the vessel in 25 to 30 minutes, then I'm just going to quit and move on, because they try to get in 8 to 10 patients a day. And typically in those situations, we consider those mills, because as Dr. Phillips knows, a real limb salvage specialist, you can't, for the most part, with these complex cases, you can't get in. The ones that are CLI cases, you can't get through in less than 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
everybody's different. Patrick was or is a claudicant, so he just had pain when he walked, but he had multiple stents in the left leg, and and this invariably happens as folks have multiple procedures. Some of the vessels below the knee had kind of blocked up a little bit, and so that was something that I learned after. So the funny thing was, Patrick and I are talking, and I'm like, well, let me get let me get a CAT scan so I can see what's exactly going on, and make some assessments, because you're always thinking about plan A, plan B, and plan C.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I was like, oh, here, why don't you can we just do it in Columbus? And then I realized, no, he's got to go back to Florida and get this done, and then get it sent back to me. And it was, I mean, Patrick, you did a great job. Like, he went to a place, wherever it was, they sent me the images. I had the images, and then, we just had to plan a date to do the procedure. But I had a couple of ideas in mind when he arrived to come back to Columbus. But that's a a lot people travel a few hours to come see us, but it's not often they have to fly or cross multiple states. So I wanted to make sure we had everything there, backup wise, and all the equipment needed and whatnot to have a successful procedure for him.
And what were some of the tough choices that you had to make to actually make this happen, determine if a procedure is right, if you were the right physician for him, especially when he was traveling quite a distance to see you, and so many arrangements? There's a lot of logistics that go into traveling to see a doctor, and especially having a procedure with that doctor.
Yeah, because I mean, there's certain expectations. I mean, Patrick expected something to be done to hopefully help his symptoms, but we were taught, and we always try to labor under this premise that we're going to do what's right for the patient. And ultimately, when we took the pictures, the stents were blocked. I knew that, but I didn't know that he had the blockages below the knee as well, and really only one vessel that was kind of supplying the foot with some bypasses there. And so then you kind of have to make your decision about, well, should I try to open the stents? There is the PTAB, trans, arterial bypass that we can do through the vein back into the artery. That's an option. But then the other option is, do you send him for a surgical bypass? And so those were the things that were kind of weighing through my head. And you don't want to disappoint anybody for that matter, but you ultimately have to do what's right for him. And his case was the stents that were put in. I can't remember how long ago they were put in. There were multiple different layers and the overlap, and it was probably one of the harder cases that I had to do to try to get through some of these blockages. And it took a little bit of time, but we were able to do it, and and we were able to use the device, the laser, to kind of break up some of the plaque and things of that nature. And interestingly enough, there was so much debris that we used a little device to catch it, and that kind of overflowed and blocked off the only artery that he had left in the leg and below the knee, and we had to go suck that out. And
Scary.
it was here I'm thinking, oh, okay, we got through it. It looks good. We didn't have to put any more stents in, because I didn't want to have to do that. And we didn't burn any bridges in case a bypass is needed in the future. But now, we've got debris that's clogging up the only artery that's supplying the foot, and thankfully we were able to suck that out. But it felt pretty good at the end. But while I was doing it, I thought, man, this is not what I want to have happen right now for this poor guy, any patient for that matter. But no, it was it took you just have to have a little perseverance. And I do set a timer for myself, but it's like 2 minutes when I'm doing something, and I'll switch a technique or whatever. I don't spin my wheels, because that's when you start wasting time and get frustrated.
Yeah, coming up next, right here on the Heart of Innovation, we'll have more with Dr. Phillips and our special guest, Patrick, and we'll hear the results of his procedure and see if he's walking for better health. So stay with us right here on KDOW and the Heart of Innovation. Don't go away. that must have been God, with one vessel runoff into the foot. You must not have been very comfortable, Patrick,
Uh,
before before you went in. You must no wonder you were searching so hard. Um, we can get
yeah.
into it if you want.
Yeah.
Okay. In 3, 2. Welcome back to the show. This is oh, sorry.
Yes. Finally, she makes a mistake when it comes to broadcasting and not me. Yes.
Uh-oh. I'm in trouble.
Yep.
In 3, 2. Welcome back to the show and our special Save My Piggies episode of the Heart of Innovation. Dr. Phillips is here with our very special guest, Patrick, who just had his piggies saved by Dr. Phillips. But Dr. Phillips, that was not an easy procedure. You want to give us the quick, recap and Cliff Notes version of the procedure? I mean, having one vessel runoff is pretty scary for any doctor that's going in to try and unblock the arteries, because if that closes off, that could be trouble. That could
Yeah.
be
I mean,
a direct route to amputation.
and it's a cautionary tale just in general, because invariably when we open up arteries, these in the thigh and by the knee, um, you debris breaks off and you don't necessarily appreciate it. And then what the patient used to have is the normal 3 vessel. It turns into, 2, and then it turns into 1, and the more procedures people have. So that's why you really have to be careful about when you decide to intervene. And I know Patrick said that this was lifestyle limiting claudication or pain when he walked, and he felt like it was, or he was telling me that it really bothered him a lot and it was affecting quality of life. So certainly it was worth trying to get through, but I have never had to work that hard to get through a blocked stent. Now, thankfully, there
Goodness.
were other options that we had, and
Yeah.
the laser worked well, and we were able to. In fact, I'm using it as a case. I'm teaching a course for Phillips at the end of August, and his case I'm using as a teaching point for a number of things. But again, we used that little device to try to catch the debris, and it overflowed, and some of the debris broke free, and we had to suck it out. But that's another cautionary tale too, because you get a nice result. The stent's open. We used a medicated stent to hopefully help prevent scarring. But now all of a sudden and that was the other, I don't know, Patrick, if you remember or not, but I told you during the case, I said, listen, we're kind of about to cross the Rubicon here. If we go for this, there are consequences if it goes poorly, and urgent surgery could be one of them. And thankfully that didn't happen. But again, it's just important to provide as much informed consent and shared decision making with the patient when you embark on some of these things. But he was a trooper. He
But
didn't
you told me
complain.
in the consultation room that you don't give up.
Well, I mean,
I knew, if you
I
don't
try
give
not
up,
to, but
yeah. So that's
you
why I
also
knew we
have
were going to
to,
get through.
yeah, and there are ways, right? But because the issue, I mean, not to get too technical, but since he only had the one vessel, if you put a tube in that vessel, go in the opposite direction from the foot upwards, now you could compromise the flow in that one vessel, and that's not good. It's different when there's 3 vessels and they're normal looking. Then you can kind of, the body, you're a little bit, you feel a little bit more comfortable to be liberal about it, but you have to be fairly conservative. And yes, we don't give up to a degree, but you don't want to turn a stable situation into an unstable situation where, it's important. Like the guest that we had, Mike, from the UK and Canada, he was so worried about losing his leg. And I said, Mike, you're not going to lose your leg from this. But in Patrick's case, if I had, not been able to get the flow back, yeah, then he could have. And so that's the balancing act that we have.
Yeah, but Patrick, I mean, you had full faith in Dr. Phillips, and I think there's something to be said about that powerful energy. And if the doctor and the patient are truly on that same, energy level and putting forth, that energy to say, hey, we're going to heal this, we're going to get this, you get her done.
Right. Yeah. Well, I was talking to the wrong surgeons, not the limb salvage. So I found out, after trial and error for like 5 weeks in Florida, the end of January to the end of February. So it was a no-brainer. I have to see Dr. Phillips.
And how do you feel after because you were hurting when you called our hotline. I mean, we were telling you got to walk, and you tried walking, and we'll get into this in a second because you even with you saw one of our other doctors that is helping you with your diet. Would love to get into that, but you were not having fun in life, because of this pain. How are you feeling now?
I'm feeling great. I was in the Wisconsin State Fair, and it hurt so much. I knew I had to get back to Florida and get this taken care of right away. So I left the Wisconsin State Fair on a Sunday, went to my friend's place in Chicago for a day, and then drove on back to Florida. And then I started, calling you and talking to your friend in Texas that, I've got a problem and I need to resolve this.
That's pretty incredible. So you're doing well now. You're traveling across the western region now. So you've gone from the east, you're over in the west, you're in Las Vegas, you're in Arizona,
Right.
and you're doing great. How much are you walking every day?
Not enough. I'm gonna be back going to my gym on Friday. I go to like an LA Fitness. Um, yeah, yeah. Once I'm going back to the gym 5 days a week. I Here in Arizona, they don't have a gym for me to go to, but it's no excuse for me not walking.
No, he worked so hard on those legs. You got to move, move, move.
Right. So I'm looking forward to, getting back to the, going to the gym and stuff like that, because they have LA Fitnesses all over America, so yeah, looking forward to, starting doing that Friday,
But now you're not living with lifestyle limiting pain. You're
Mhm.
actually living again.
Oh yeah, yeah, life is great. I'll be in Chicago Friday, then I'll be back in Columbus on the 5th to see Dr. Phillips again. Yeah, gonna go to La Jolla next month. Going to Egypt in January.
Wow.
Maybe San
Nice.
Francisco in March for an AI convention. Yeah, yeah. I
I'll
got my
be
life
here.
back, so I can travel. Yeah, I'd love to say hello to you. Yeah. Yes,
We're
I'm
going to
trying to
go for a
learn.
walk. We're going to walk across the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, so
But you're
Live
also,
stream.
what did you say?
I said live stream it.
Yes, we should. We should totally live stream or walk across. We can use a selfie cam and go across selfie stick.
Oh
That
yeah,
would
that'd
be
be awesome.
incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I never had a selfie stick. I've got the thing in the car where I can put the phone in it, do a car
It'll
video, but
be
I never.
my gift to you when you come out here. And I'm going to let you hold the selfie stick as we are walking all the way across the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, that sounds like an awesome video. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
let's do it.
so.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
But before we had to break, you also
Mhm.
saw one of our other doctors. He's actually the chief medical officer for the Global PAD Association. He's the world-renowned diabetes reversal expert. You've been working with Dr. Michael Danzinger. How's that going?
It's going good. My A1C is down to an 8. I was kind of stressing while I got everything situated with with Dr. Phillips. So there were times when I was having too much sugar, So but at least I'm down to an 8, and then by the next time I do a blood draw, I should be like 6.8, so I'll be in the safety zone. But the unknown about solving my problem, it's no excuse. I had too much like sugar, sometimes like strawberry banana smoothies and stuff like that, and pizza. You know, uh, I was a bad boy. Yeah.
But the good news is you're changing, and we'll have some final thoughts on lessons learned along Patrick's journey up next, right here on the Heart of Innovation, this special Save My Piggies episode on KDOW. Don't go away. Bad boy. No, you could but the good news
Yes.
is in working with Dr. Danzinger is he works with you, and we want to get you below a 6. So that would be the goal. So we're going to get you below a 6 in your A1C. That's going to be the key, because if you don't, we can have we can have Dr. Phillips actually explain why it's so important to get your A1C. Are you ready, Josh? I'll bring us back.
This is Kimberly's show.
He's making me do it. I almost forgot how to do these
know.
things because I let him do it. I'm like fine with the breaks. I got those down.
You should switch.
But these intros are a little.
Yeah.
In 3, 2. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Heart of Innovation, our special Save My Piggies episode. And it is extra special because we have Dr. John Phillips with one of his patients who found him through the Global PAD Association and watching the Heart of Innovation and all of our Save My Piggies episodes. And he learned so much along his journey, spending hours watching our videos. Yay. And of course, that led him to Dr. Phillips, a leg-saving procedure, and also a diabetes reversal expert to help you, right, Patrick, with your diet?
Yes, Dr. Dassinger's doing great.
And Dr. Phillips, I want you to give your best motivational speech here. You worked hard on his legs, and I want you to share with him what'll happen to those legs if he can't get that sugar down, because there's going to be potential clotting, more damage to the arteries, reversal of all your work that you put in.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're learning so much about the disease process, and I truly believe that it is a inflammatory process, and which is why, remember, we had on a guest that kind of went over the GLP-1 agonists and the benefit that people with diabetes and peripheral arterial disease had in taking the semaglutide with walking distance and improved ABIs and things of that nature. So there's clearly something about the inflammation and the diabetes certainly affects our kind of global inflammatory state, I believe. And so I know Patrick's committed. I mean, the guy he must have trouble sleeping if he's watching us for hours. But I mean, he's committed. He made the right choices, I think. And now it's just, taking that next step, and I'm confident he'll be able to do that. Just because somebody who seeks us out through the Global PED Association, listens to the show, certainly is motivated to do the right thing. And now you just kind of take that next step, Patrick, and I know you'll be able to do it. I'm confident.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, I was just, stressing about the unknown, but yeah, I definitely see the benefit. I have to be under 7, so I have no excuse now. I'm healthy, so I can't say, oh, I can have this ice cream, I can have that. Well, no, I'm healthy now because of Dr. Phillips. So, so there's no more excuses.
I mean, it's a group effort too. I have to thank the team at Ohio Health Riverside, and my partner, Dr. Justin Morrison, great guy, helped out as well. So I mean, like, that's the thing. It takes a village to treat folks, and particularly those with PAD, because they have so many other risk factors and comorbidities that cause it, and diabetes is one of them. And thankfully, Patrick doesn't smoke, but a lot of our patients do. And getting a dietitian involved in your care, helping you with exercise. I mean, there's a lot to do. It's kind of that 6 degrees of separation. A lot of people touch somebody with PAD to help them get better.
Yeah, it's not just about the procedure. There's so much. The power is in the hands of the patients. So
exactly,
you can improve your prognosis. And we love, Patrick, that you're taking your health into your own hands and taking those steps. And final lesson for everybody that is watching right now, what is your best advice, Patrick, for those who are tuning in?
Well, the best advice is, listen to your show, get a second or third opinion, but you need a critical limb salvage specialist. And people are talking to people that are not critical limb salvage specialists, and they're not going to get the result they want because certain surgeons only know certain things. So it's not that they're necessarily holding back information from you, but if they don't have the tools or they don't know how to do things, they don't do them. But it's not like they said, well, just go see Dr. Phillips in Columbus, Ohio. it could give you bad advice.
That is fantastic. Yes, critical limb salvage specialist is definitely the best, especially if you're experiencing advanced stage PAD. It doesn't have to be just one type of doctor. You have interventional cardiologists like Dr. Phillips, interventional radiologists, vascular surgeons, vascular medicine, all kinds of different doctors that may treat PAD. But if you want more information on how to choose the right doctor, definitely go to padhelp.org. You can also call the Leg Saver hotline at 1-833-PAD legs. And don't forget, as Patrick did, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the way to my heart for some great resources to help you make the most informed decisions for your journey with PAD.
Great.